KSVY Sonoma.
You're listening to Body Talk, Healthy Living Sonoma Style. I'm Heather Morgan, Nutrition and Healthy Living Coach, and I invite you to stay tuned for the next hour. Get educated, get inspired, and become a healthier you. I'm Heather Morgan, Nutrition and Healthy Living Coach. You are listening to Body Talk. Today I have Coach E.A. Morgan joining me, co-hosting, talking about healthy options for December and January, surviving the holidays. And then we also have Dr. Sam Shay, who is going to be calling us very shortly to follow up on our conversation from a few weeks ago, video game addictions. And he will be sharing his holiday survival guide with us, because chances are you may know somebody that not only is too far into the video games, but also just screen addiction, someone that's constantly looking at their phone, constantly looking at their Facebook, constantly returning the emails. This is all, it's just sort of the next generation of addictions that's out there. And Dr. Sam Shay really has an amazing story and a really great program to help people work beyond their addiction, their video game addiction. And I wanted to feature him on the show because I found his work, thought it was amazing. And so we're going to take a call from him here. And hi there.
Hello.
Hey there, Dr. Shay. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you for turning that down.
Sure.
Hey, everybody. We have Dr. Sam Shay, again, calling in from New Zealand. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah. So what you're on your Wednesday there, huh?
It's Wednesday at 11:20 here. 22, rather.
Ah, okay. So, so just a little bit over 24 hours difference. Interesting. So now, wait, real quick question for you. Do you celebrate Thanksgiving there?
And only the American expats
right?
celebrate Thanksgiving here. You're right.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's kind of it's the one time, it's the 1 year where all the American expats kind of come together for a meal, and Yeah,
sure.
So
get together and have your American celebration. I love it. That's fantastic. So I'm going to assume there's going to be no video games at that dinner.
Definitely not, yeah.
Okay, so I have a quick question for you. For those of you that are just tuning in, Dr. Sam Shay is a video game addiction expert. So you by experience, have become an expert as a doctor, but also having been addicted to video games yourself, have created truly amazing resources and programs to support families who are families, and when I say that, because we're talking the children and the parents, families who are experiencing this, and you yourself, 25 years, I think you were addicted to video games. And so how does that, how does that show up in your life now? And is it still challenging for you? Do you feel like you want to just check out and go play a video game, or are you pretty good?
Well, there's lots to unpack there. One is that what's happened is I had a 25-year history. I mean, I haven't played a video game at all since well over a year ago.
Okay.
And the impulse to play is the same as any impulse with anyone who has an addictive impulse, whether
right.
it's food or shopping or TV or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And the urge to play is this. I have a stressful thought about something, whether it's about a deadline or someone in my life or a situation or anything that I am experiencing or perceiving, projecting, or remembering that's stressful. Then
right.
I have that's the first step, is a stressful thought. Then the second step is I have a stressful emotional, physical reaction inside my body.
Yes.
So thought first, belief first, body experience second, and then the third step is I need to anesthetize myself to these uncomfortable body sensations, tension, stress, headache, pain, fear, anxiety, whatever. So I anesthetize myself with my vice of choice. In my case, it was video games. In other people, it's food or television or
alcohol,
gambling or drinking or smoking or drugs or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, do I have the urge to play? Not really. What I have instead is an awareness of, wow, I'm really observing that I really want to numb out and escape from my stressful thoughts.
Right.
And so it can shift now away from video games. And now I notice it's, okay, am I doing anything else to replace that? And that's where cross-addicting comes in.
Yes, right.
And that's a term have you heard of this term before?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so it's for listeners who don't know, cross-addicting is you replace one thing for another. In fact, this is actually used as a treatment technique. My mother, who treated addicts in her psychiatric practice,
mm-hmm.
she actually was quite overt. She says, if someone's dealing with alcohol, you switch them to something else, like religion.
Caffeine.
If someone's addicted. Yeah, you just pass the baton, basically,
right.
to something
to the lesser evil,
a little less destructive on them,
right.
you know. So when you ask me, do I still want to play video games? When I'm really stressed out, I have the awareness I really would like to play a video game, but I don't do it
mm-hmm.
because I'm very aware of the process going on in my head.
Great. So that's something that you've worked through and obviously worked beyond to the point now where you have created a very powerful structured program that you can pay forward to others.
Yeah, the goal is the goal is to kind of rewrite the entire model of how we look at addictions.
I love it.
I'm just focusing on video games because that's what I personally understand and experience and have gone through. But the model applies to anybody.
Sure.
So and I deal with people who are food addicts or smokers or whatever in the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just out here talking on video games simply because it's what I know best.
Yes, of course.
There's lots of experience.
And I think there's a lot of people out there who are experiencing it, and there's not a lot of support.
Yeah. And the other thing you should be aware of is that according to the 2015 stats, and these are stats coming about the Entertainment Software Association.
Okay.
And it's that the fastest growing demographic for video game use is not actually the under 18-year-old males that everyone stereotypically thinks of.
What is it?
It's actually older females.
Wow.
When I say older, I mean middle-aged and older.
Interesting.
I'm just looking at the stats right now. I mean, this will blow your mind.
Whoa.
Only 26% of the video gamers out there are under the age of 18. 30% are between 18 and 35. 17% are between 36 and 49, and the remaining 27% are over the age of 50.
Interesting.
So if you add up those last two stats, 17% and 27% for 36 and above, that's 46% of the gaming population is over the age of 35.
Interesting.
And in fact, women over the age of 18 represent 33% of the whole population compared to boys under 18, which only represent 15%.
That is so surprising. So surprising.
Well, here's how it happens. Once I describe to you what it looks like, it'll instantly make sense.
Okay.
What happens is that the games that appeal to women over the age of 30 are the casual mini games on smartphones.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Like my mother, same person who treated people, like she's there playing Boggle on her iPad or Scrabble or whatever.
Okay, so that's all included. Okay.
Right. Or you sign up for the free, these companies have now done, they've done trade deals with these people. But anyway, like for example, you should know that this November, like this month, Activision Blizzard, the very people that made Diablo and World of Warcraft, the very games that are for the stereotypical 18 and under male crowd.
Yes.
They bought the makers of Candy Crush.
Whoa, that's right.
One of those for $5.9 billion with a B.
And you know who's playing Candy Crush? It's the women.
Women.
Right, because and now this is totally making sense because I get these invitations, on Facebook and whatnot, and they're from women wanting me to play these games. I've never played one in my life, but wow. Okay, I hadn't even thought of that as video games. I think of video games as you're sitting in front of your TV with a remote control in your hand, and it's, you know what I mean?
And that you have just beautifully described the insidious nature of video games as an addictive vice, because people don't take it seriously because it's a casual game. And I'm not saying all video games are addictive and all this, or all people play are addicts and all that. That's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, we don't have time to go into that whole. We had that discussion last time about what's an addict and what's not. Right. But it's like when we're coming up to the holidays, we're not just looking at the kids, even though it's something. I wrote an article on my website on the Holiday Survival Guide, and I wrote it for parents and how to help their kids not vanish into their rooms and never come out and be totally aggro and not interested in being around family. But I'm using that as a stepping stone to just put it out there to try to wake up the parents of, are you also are you also doing the same behaviors? I don't say that overtly in the article, but it's the parents I'm also looking out for as having issues of their own around video games.
For sure. And, also Facebook. I mean, I don't know if that would even be included in this, but, everywhere I go, restaurants, even with my friends, and my husband and I included, we're both sitting here listening, Facebook's right in the palm of our hands, and you're constantly turning it on and just flipping through and looking. And is that considered part of this video game addiction, or is that more? Okay, it's sort of. Okay. What we're talking about, like we discussed on the last show, we talked about screen addiction as the superset. For sure. And then video game addiction is a subset of that, and then there's multiple subsets of video game addiction, whether it's on a handheld, whether it's on a console, on a computer, is it online, is it offline, the genres of games, etc. Gotcha.
Another subset of screen addiction is social media. And then, of course, you've got, a dozen major players in that, Facebook and
Instagram
Twitter and Instagram,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
So I would put Facebook as a kissing cousin to video game addiction.
For
and
sure.
I put them differently as more insidious than, say, than television, because television is a very passive experience.
Right.
But with social media and video games, it's interactive. Now, social media is much more passive in some ways than video games are.
Right.
Video games are almost 100% interactive,
right.
where social media can be interactive and cannot be interactive.
Right. Good point.
So it's a hybrid.
For sure. Absolutely. However, it's just like the whole Facebook thing. I just really, I see where it absolutely can be addictive. And I don't know if people even realize, but you can just the way they set it up, you have the app on your phone and it's constantly pinging you 2 new messages or whatever. You just want to click it, and it's just a habit. It's like the cigarette smoker that just picks up the cigarette and they don't even know they did it. You just click that button to see what's going on, and all of a sudden you're sucked into 10 minutes of scrolling through Facebook.
Stephen Colbert on The Late Show just did a recent hilarious example of this. I don't remember the exact title of it, but he said, I went to go check this thing in my email, which led me to this Instagram thing, where then I learned about this in the newspaper site, which then led me to this Wikipedia page. And he listed like a rabbit trail of 20 different websites just stemming off one little innocuous email.
Oh,
and
so true.
It was brilliant. It was absolutely perfect. He nailed it perfectly. And you should what you should know about the Facebook pings on your cell phone is that you've been habituated to that sound of, it's kind of like someone's calling you in your house. You reach for the phone.
Yes.
And with the Facebook ping, it's the same thing. You've been habituated to someone needs me, someone's trying to contact me.
Right now.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it could be someone's liked someone else that you don't even know, the stupidest, most random thing, but they get you because they put that light there that some sort of activity has gone on, and we're habituated to just absolutely look at it. And that usually isn't even the reason why we stay on. We start scrolling for more dopamine. The whole brain's just really searching for that quick, fast flash of information.
Right. The validation, it's neurological validation.
Right.
You're seeking validation that I'm important and I mean something, that I matter.
Yeah.
And that someone is connected to me. Mm-hmm. And shut off the Facebook thing, and you're standing around and you're standing there waiting for a bus, and there's not much going on except traffic.
Yeah, well,
it's nice to feel wanted and needed, or at least listened to, or participating in someone else's journey.
Yeah, and it's like entertainment. You're flipping through and reading things and seeing things. It's like instant entertainment and information that our brains are now so trained to be looking for. And I have to tell you, I actually removed the Facebook app from my phone a few months ago because of that. I just am tired of getting sucked in, and it wasn't supporting my productivity. So I removed it, and life was so much better. And then I went on vacation and I put it back on because, of course, I'm on vacation and I wanted to post where I was and what I was doing and pictures. And so, I think it would be interesting to do some sort of a little challenge, right, for the new year, where we have people unplug and at least for their phones, right? They're like, well,
there's a couple ways. That would be great. The problem with the video game side of it is that Apple doesn't let you remove the Game Center from their iPhones.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So there is a way around it, though. I figured it out. That's what I've done with my phone. Is that you can make a folder and label it as boring stuff, and put all the apps that you can't physically remove from your phone without jailbreaking it. I don't want to jailbreak my phone, but some people do that.
Yeah, sure.
So you can make a new app folder on your phone and put the game center and anything else that you feel is A, boring or B, really super unproductive and distracting.
Yeah,
and you put it at like the fifth scroll screen away. You don't put it right on the front screen of your apps.
Right, so you don't see it. It's not constantly sucking you in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And yeah, removing the Facebook app, removing any external games, any of these social games, etc. That would be good to have a 1-month fast. And the reason why that would be important, I mean, is just neurologically, the way to get over this dopamine rush that comes with any addictive behavior is you've got to take a fast away from the thing that's spiking out your dopamine, so the receptors on their nerve cells can kind of recalibrate and reset.
Absolutely.
And whether it's video games or people getting into looking at stuff on the internet that's super risque, and like it's really adrenaline rushing, especially for guys looking at that stuff. They need to just take a fast. I was listening to a neurologist talk about relationship issues, why guys are losing interest in their partners, and it's like, well, you got to turn off the porn and then take a break from it so your brain can reset.
Exactly.
And a lot of and this is the same thing with video games where we're getting people dopamine overloaded, and then because it's so interesting, the video games, and then when you come off, everything is boring. Right. And you got to be able to take a break and let your dopamine levels reset so the rest of the world becomes interesting again.
So very, very true. And I really do think there's just not, besides what you're doing, there really isn't support out there for people to be able to do it. Or I'm not even sure people are even at the point where they realize how adversely it's affecting their lives. Do you know what I mean?
I keep on my Google News feed. I've altered the feed to give me all the updates on the video game and video game industry, etc. Yes. There's about one article published every 2 weeks on it now.
Yeah, that's good.
In the popular media, and then in the journals, there's now full professors in specific universities devoted to this issue. So, and that's only really happened in the past 5 years or so, where it's really gotten more and more popular. Right. And there's a couple real scandalous deaths and stuff, it's tragic, but it is a bit like the kid in China that chopped off his hand because he was sick of playing. He was addicted to video games. That's a real story.
Oh boy.
Or the negligence of people starving in the family because the dad was playing video games all day. Yeah, those are really kind of sensationalist stuff, but it's symptomatic of that. There's a real issue going on, and it's not just the 18 and under boys anymore. It's not. No, it's not. It's becoming this is the same stats. Most frequent female game players on average 43 years old. Whoa. Reading from the same stats. People want to read about this theesa.com, and just look at their ESA Electronic Entertainment Software Association. They have their 2015 PDF out there.
Amazing. That is so interesting. Yeah, if you'll send that to us, we'll post it on the Facebook page too for the listeners.
Sure.
That's super interesting and actually quite mind-blowing. And I'm wondering if those statistics are also, because when you think about it, it used to be that, women who were at home caring for their home and raising children used to watch soap operas, and then it was they watched, Oprah or whatever. And I'm not sure what the daily television is like, but maybe now they're actually just playing video games. I don't know. You're getting into a much bigger socioeconomic issue there with the loss of the single income family. Now we've got with inflation and all sorts of other banker politics. This is a very big topic. I know, right? Well, you have your work cut out for you.
Now got the rise of the quick casual gaming because you don't have long swaths of time available anymore.
Right.
Because life is not as simple as it was in the 50s.
Yeah, women didn't just have all day to sit around.
Well, I mean, raising kids is not all sit-around job, but it's like that's talking about a typical, stereotypical, I should say, which my grandmother was in, 1950s environment where there was a lot more time, and particularly around the 60s and 70s with the advent of not only the pill, but also things like widespread availability of washing machines and dishwashers and things like that. You suddenly get, I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, it wasn't Eat, Pray, Love, but it was in her
Big
book,
Magic.
Commitment.
Oh,
The book Commitment, she actually talked about that transition in the 60s and 70s where suddenly there was a lot more free time available to stay-at-home moms because a lot of the major chores were now becoming more automated, and this is where you get organizations, charitable organizations pop up around the United States. And now, because that time is now lost, because of the economic situation that's going on, casual gaming is taking over because you can jump in for 5 minutes at a time,
right?
Supposedly, get your fix of escapism and come out.
Right.
The problem is if you do that 20 times a day, that still amounts to, an hour and a half.
Exactly. Right. For sure. So very, very interesting. So I just want to let everybody know we are talking to Dr. Sam Shay from New Zealand, and you are from your website is 10pointwellness.com. And I encourage people to visit 10pointwellness.com. Dr. Sam Shay just has he's such a wealth of information. We're talking today about video game addiction. And in just a few minutes, Sam's going to share with us his holiday survival guide to help those families where there is one or more person in the family that is addicted to gaming, whether it's on a handheld device, men, women, adults, children. We've talked about the fact that it's not the under 18-year-old male that's the fastest growing population right now in video game addiction. Those statistics were amazing. We're going to put those on our Facebook page as well. Dr. Shay is going to share those with us. And he's put together amazing programs to support people who want to come away from the addictions, really get perspective on how much time they are spending on the gaming, whether it's handheld or not. And so I just wanted to catch everybody up to speed, but to learn more from Dr. Shay, do visit 10pointwellness.com, and you can get his ebook, 7 Ways to Game Less, which 7
Ways to Game Less.
Yeah, game less.
How to unplug and live more, and that's available as a free ebook for people, practical for whether you're an 18 and under male teenager or a 30-plus female playing casual games.
Awesome.
And that's at the website 10pointwellness.com. Or if people are driving, they can text the word video games, all one word. Video games is one word, to if they're in the U.S. 33444.
33444, but don't do it while you're driving. Do it when you pull over. Don't do it while you're driving.
Yeah, not while you're driving. And please. And they say don't text and drive. Please don't video game and drive either.
Yeah, exactly. But can you repeat so people can go ahead and text to you one word, video games?
Video games is one word to the number 33444. That's
awesome.
It. To 33444.
Okay, wonderful. So if you don't mind, you posted this amazing article, Video Game Holiday Survival Guide. I read the whole thing. Of course, it speaks to me. I have a teenage boy that loves video games. And, also, too, I've always got that phone in my hand, and I'm always tempted to go on and look at Facebook and whatnot. But read your story, read your survival guide. I think it's imperative that each family member reads it. If you have anybody that's at all doing any sort of gaming in your family, read this holiday survival guide, because I don't think people really realize how much this impacts our families and just, the family unit these days. And, I guess the one thing that really struck me about your article, your holiday survival guide, was the fact that, you kind of reflect yourself on how you loved the holidays growing up, and it was sort of bittersweet. And can you just explain a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I love the holidays. I mean, to put it real bluntly, I love the holidays because I had more time to play video games, and I got more video games as gifts. And I dislike the holidays because I was obligated to spend time with family when I'd rather be playing video games.
Exactly.
It really comes down to that.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that, but that's what it was, and that's what I'm being open and honest about, is like my journey from a small boy into adulthood dealing with this video game thing. And I neglected my family a lot. And I think I even mentioned it last time on the radio that I actually gave away my dog because of my video game issue, because I felt I was neglecting my dog, and my dog deserved better.
Yeah. Yes. Right. And that takes a lot. That takes a lot to share that. And you know, I think that what's so amazing is so many people are experiencing the same things in their house now and over the holidays, where there's a family member that's what they'd rather do is just go be on the video games and not have to do the social thing.
The common story that I hear actually is especially like here in New Zealand. I have some patients of mine who told me about how they get. Like, they're used to having their nephew over for the summer, you know, and then what happens is that just over the course of a year, from one summer to the next, suddenly this child comes to their house as normal then they just vanish into their room for 2 months.
Wow.
And it's new, it's not, like, and they're like totally shocked at the 1 year difference, like it's night and day. Wow. And on a microcosm level, it happens on the holidays and also weekends. Like the Holiday Survival Guide, the strategies they'll share with you don't just apply to the holidays, but they also apply to the weekends, which are micro-holidays. And the strategies can be applied to all year round. And, it was based on a collection of my experience reflecting back what I did to my own family, and then also on the other end, helping family members now deal with their own kids in the clinic. Right.
And so you basically share in this Holiday Survival Guide, you share some useful tips to keep the digital divide. And I love that word, the digital divide. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. I think the digital divide may be people are most familiar with it in regards to there's the older generation that doesn't understand computers and the younger generation that grew up with them. And I'm talking about a different digital divide. The digital divide is a child locked in his own room on his own accord playing video games, divided from his family and visiting relatives on the other side having dinner. That's the digital divide I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And the way that I recommend parents deal with this is a couple things. Is that first is to protect sleep over the holidays. Now, the reason why is because when it's the holidays, a lot of parents like, okay, play as late as you want, you can sleep in. Okay, be careful, because that leads to a very vicious cycle of playing into the wee hours of the morning, sleeping in, missing breakfast, being groggy and grouchy and otherwise disconnected and not present when people are around. And if you're there for lunch, you're like the kid's like in a half comatose state. And then they're kind of tired and drained and exhausted and can't enjoy the family activities during the rest of the day. And then suddenly their energy perks up again in the evening, and they just game again into the late hours, and the cycle repeats. So true. Technically they may be present during part of the day, but they're just mentally gone because their sleep is screwed up and their circadian rhythms are screwed up, and they've been skipping meals and all the rest of it. So the priority one is protect sleep. And the way to do that I recommend the following. Number one is I recommend a free program people put on their computer called F.Lux, F.Lux, which is a free program to put on the computer which dims the light of the screen to mimic the level of blue light that's in the sun based on your location and time.
That's awesome.
Blue light, it's a great program. Blue light tells your brain it's time to wake up. That's the light that you see in the visual spectrum when the sun comes up. And so if you can, if you can have an automatic program raise and lower the level of blue light on your coming out of your screen, then you're going to minimize the effect on melatonin production and on your pineal gland and on your circadian rhythm. So that's number one. Just Google f.lux, f.lux.
Love it.
Wonderful free program.
Great.
The other thing to do to protect sleep is to make meals mandatory with the kids. And that will ensure that your children at least stay connected with relatives and you over the holidays, and to ensure that they don't screw up their hormone systems by skipping meals. And the priority I recommend is breakfast. And in fact, my first ebook, was a breakfast guide, because breakfast is the most important meal of the day for a large number of hormonal reasons, a detail in the free ebook. But it's like you have to make sure your children eat breakfast. And in regards to letting them stay up late at night, I'd say that it's not necessary. I really don't.
Right.
Because there used to be an advantage in the video game world to staying up until 3 a.m. playing online role-playing games, because there was less people around, therefore less competition for more loot and more, killing higher experience monsters and all the rest. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually hid my light. I put a towel between the bottom crack of the door to prevent people from seeing light coming out that I was on the computer. But nowadays, that's over. People are playing all over the world at all times of the day, and if everyone's on their home at the holidays, everyone's playing late at night. So there's no more advantage to people playing late at night anymore.
Okay, right.
And it's only going to do damage. And so it's not necessary. The next thing I'm going to talk about can be pretty touchy. It's about the issue of relatives coming in who want to be the fun ones. The cool uncle that wants to be like, hey, I got this new video game console, for Billy. Aren't I awesome? And and it's totally not cool, because you've just introduced a massive disruptor into the house, and now as a parent, you're going to look bad in the eyes of both the uncle and your kid as a stick in the mud, because it's like you've given them a gift and then you take it, like they were given a gift and you just take it away. Right.
So have that talk with relatives ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Yes,
make sure that they honor the rules, and whether it's food or video games, they've got to honor the rules in your house.
I love it. Yes, absolutely.
The other thing that the parents should do is require a certain amount of exercise and outdoor time before and after gaming.
Yes.
It's a requirement. You can game for a certain amount of hours, pending that you eat meals, go to bed at this time, exercise and are outside so much before and after playing video games.
Fabulous.
And it's a way to ensure that their kid doesn't completely self-destruct and vanish, because at least they're getting outside.
I love it. Absolutely.
The other thing is to place strict time limits and on the exact times and lengths of gaming. So if the family allows 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours or whatever, have that stated and be specific about what times of day are allowed, but also to be flexible if it's solo gaming versus online social gaming versus in-person social gaming with their buddies in the room. So as you want to reward interactivity. So, for example, if you allow 2 hours total of solo gaming, then say you can allow 3 hours total if it's gaming online with people. But you allow 4 hours total if they're all in the house together live.
Because of the social piece.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
And so you allow for that and reward interactivity. The other thing is to have real consequences. Like if they skip a meal, they don't exercise, they go out late or whatever, then take privileges away. And the most important thing I can recommend to parents, and this is so critical, present the rules ahead of time in writing, and then let your child come back to you with their quote-unquote, pun intended, game plan.
Love it.
Let them come to you saying, I want to play with my friend for these hours, therefore that means I get to play 4 hours instead of 2 here at this time. I want to do this thing. I'm going to eat meals here. I'm going to exercise there. So they come to you with full awareness of what the rules are, So there's no argument, there's no surprise, and you don't get what's called gamer rage, which is you've had this experience, right, where you interrupt your kid playing games and he like barks at you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So if there's no surprises and they came to you with their game plan, everything's on the table.
I love it.
And everyone's in agreement.
And they had a little bit of say in what the schedule is going to be, so they're kind of empowered in that. So we go in with the written rules. They come back sort of talking about it and not negotiating it, but with their input, and then you have a plan.
Yeah, and they get to learn the adult skill of making and keeping agreements.
I love it.
They have to be an adult that to make and keep agreements, and this is a wonderful way to build that process for them.
Fabulous. Dr. Sam Shay, you are amazing. What a wealth of information. We're talking today with Dr. Sam Shay. We spoke with Dr. Sam Shay today about video game addiction. This show will be up on our Facebook page next week. If you missed it, didn't hear it all, you want to hear it again, it'll be on our Facebook page next week. You can reach Dr. Sam Shay at 10 Point Wellness, and we will have you back on again because I know you're going to be a periodic guest with us, and we're so grateful. Really appreciate you taking the time today, Dr. Shay, and we will follow up again soon with you on the continued topic of video game addiction.
Thank you so much, Heather. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Take care and have a good holiday.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.